from where we left and talk about more formulas about the same thing. We are going to talk about average. We are going also to talk about maximum. These are now statistical formulas. We are going to talk about minimum. How do you get the minimum value? We are going to talk about count. We are going to talk about mode. And we are also going to talk about some more formulas here. We are going to talk about standard deviation. Standard deviation, and maybe before I forget, there's also median that is to be done under the statistical formulas on basic formulas in Excel here. So this is what we want to cover, and it will be an extension of the work that you already have. Remember, we had this particular work that we used on our formulas last time. So this one is going to be an extension of what we already covered in our previous lesson. Let us begin by looking at average. So how do you get the average of some marks that you have with you? So average is, let us start by averaging in cell. Of course, every formula is preceded with an equal sign. Then average, then you double click on average, that will appear there. Then you can click on the cell that you want, or you can type it manually. So in our case, let us click on, we want to get the average of Tom. So I'll click on 65. Then now we separate them with commas. So 65, then comma, 84, then comma, 70, then comma, 76. And if that is the end, you close the bracket, shift, and the sign of closing the bracket on the keyboard. After that, you enter. And it will give you the average for Tom for all the units as 73.5. So this is the average, and you can be able to copy it down all the way to the last one, which is not Juliet. I believe there is something wrong there. On our product, in our previous class, I believe we might have included the wrong items. Let me just confirm what we did. Okay, that seems to be okay. It's all fine. So up to the last one, who is Tony. So we've gotten the average of Tom all the way to the average of Tony. I can undo, and I can start again by getting the average. Of course, equal sign, then average. You double click on the average. Then after double clicking on the average, you can type manually like B10. You can see it's highlighted, comma, C10, comma. But that is a long way. If you want to move faster, you just click on them. So 65, comma on the keyboard, 84, comma, 70, comma. Remember, if you want to jump one, you can always jump. Assuming that you never wanted the one for auditing, you can always jump and you click on the last one. So this one is now excluded in your average for that particular period, and you can see the average has reduced. So there's also another way, of course, average in range. So again, average, and you just select average in range. You select up to where you want, up to 76, then shift and you close the bracket. So that is average in range. Then you enter to get 73.5, from which you can be able to drag down your formula all the way to what you want, up to Tony, and you'll get all your averages for that particular student. You can also get average here, if you so wish, average and equal sign, or let us use now the other aspects. You can go to the formula place, AutoSum. If you see average, you click on average. There's average here, but this one will pick everything. You can see up to the next place where there's nothing. So this one majorly picks everything, but you can be able to highlight up to where you want, that is up to Tony, and it will give you everything that you want. If you enter, of course, the average is 66.60. You can undo, and again, in the formulas, you can use the insert function. You click on insert function. What do you want? You want average. You want average like that. So go, and you will see average highlighted here. Just click on it. Okay. Then you confirm whether B17 to B19 is what you want. B17 is just 15 subtraction, then B19 is just this one. So it's wrong. So it means you can deduct, or you can do away with it and select whatever you want to get the average of. So you just select, you can see it is moving all the way to Tony, and your average is set. So the average is set. Once you have done the correct thing, you click on OK, and you can see the answer is still 66.6. So whichever approach you use, of course, the average is still going to be the same as in any other case. Average, you can see the answer is still 66.6. So you then drag across all the way to MA, so that you can have your average up to MA. So that is the average of those particular items. Having done the average, the next thing is maximum. Now we want to do maximum. What is the maximum? What is the maximum? Maximum is the same as highest. Maximum is the same as highest. So we are looking for the highest value in our set of data under financial accounting. So equal sign, then max. So you look for the function of max. This one returns the largest value in a set of values, and it ignores values and logical values and texts. Of course, this one is max. Then which one is the highest value? The highest value up to there. Then you close the bracket. This one gives you 88. So you can see in this set of data up to here, 88 is the highest value which has been returned by this. So if you copy across, it also gives you the other highest values in, like in this case is 84. In this case, you can see it's 70 is the highest value here. In this case, the highest value can clearly be seen to be 76, of course. So that is highest value using max. What about lowest value? How do you get the lowest value? Of course, when using the lowest value or getting the lowest value, you use mean. So we are going to use mean to be able to get the lowest value. And again, you highlight all the way to this one, and the lowest value there is that one. So the lowest value is 50. The formula is saying that it's 50. Let us see. The lowest value, indeed, 50. Here there is nothing, so it cannot count that. So 50 is the lowest value. There are two 50s, so it will just pick any. What about these other cases? You can drag across and get your lowest value. Again, here they are saying it's 50. Let us confirm. The lowest value is indeed 50 from this set of data. It's 50. What about 34 here? Is the lowest value 34? Indeed, yes. The lowest value is 34 from this set of data. Even here, of course, the lowest value is 24 from this set of data. It is 24. So that is the lowest. If you want to get the lowest value using minimum. Now we want to move to median. How do you get the middle value? Middle value, of course, we'll be using median. Equal sign, then we do median. So you double click on the median, and you can be able to get the lowest value in that set of data, median. And that is median. Is it the median? Of course, when getting the median, Excel arranges from the lowest to the largest and then accesses the median value. So if you arrange these items from the lowest to the largest, the median value will be 65. So let us copy across and see which is the median value in the other cases. You can see the median value in these other cases here. So that is median, which helps us to get the middle value or the midpoint. So after the median value, we can also be able to get mode. Mode simply refers to the most occurring. So most occurring, that is mode. Most occurring. So let us see, how do you get the most occurring in mode? So you can see mode. The function is available for compatibility. This one returns the most frequent occurring or repetitive value in any array or range of data. So this one returns the most occurring. So again, we want to select here and get the most occurring in a set of data. And the most occurring that set of data is 50. Let us see if 50 is most occurring from here to here. Yes, 50 occurs twice, so 50 is the most occurring. If you copy across, you can see that it gives you 50 again here, and indeed 50 is the most occurring, 50 and 50. But here, the answer is not available. That means there is no most occurring. So there is no most occurring here. There is no figure that is repeating itself in this set of data. So there is no most occurring. Even here, there is no figure that appears more than once. So there is no most occurring in this set of data. So that's why the answer here is not available. And indeed, that is the that is the correct answer, not available. After that, you move to another formula. After most occurring, which is mod, we can be able to get the standard deviation. Standard deviation. Of course, standard deviation is equal sign, then STDEV. That is the formula that you use for standard deviation. What is standard deviation? You can see it says estimates the standard deviation based on the sample. It ignores the logical values and text in the sample. So that we want to get the standard deviation of this set of data from here moving the way to this place. Then you close the bracket, and this will give you a B10 to B15. If you enter, it returns the standard deviation as what you can see there. So that is the standard deviation. If you copy across, it gives you the other standard deviations from the other set of data there. So those are the other statistical formulas, basic of course for beginners, that you can be able to use in your work. You can be able to use to manage your work, either if you are a student or if you are working somewhere. These are the functions that are usually used when doing a lot of statistical and also mathematical tasks. There's an Excel file that is attached below the video description, which will use for your assignment. So make sure that you go through it and redo almost everything that you've done, almost everything that we've gone through in this particular lesson. Thank you, and see you in our next lesson.
Dear learner, welcome to the lesson today under the Manifested Publishers Learning Platform, and we are continuing with our human resource management subject, and we are looking at the lesson on reward management. And in reward management, we have an area on salary administration policy, which we are going to look at today. And when you look at a salary administration policy, it is a guideline that is used to determine, implement, and review salary levels and structures in an organization. So this is very critical because payment of salaries and rewards to workers need some format or some arrangement where decisions which are being made are made consistently in a transparent manner and can be verified. So a salary administration policy provides that guideline to be able to assist in the determination, implementation, and review of salary levels and structures in a structured way in a given entity. So in our lesson today, we are going to look at the importance of a salary administration policy. We will also look at components of a salary administration policy and the structure of a salary administration policy. So we will start with the importance of a salary administration policy. Importance of a salary administration policy. Salary administration policy. So why is we have seen that a salary administration policy is a guideline, and this guideline provides a direction in relation to determination, implementation, review, and looking at the levels of salaries in a given work environment. So when it comes to the importance, one of the reasons why a salary administration policy is important is to eliminate, so one, elimination of perceived salary inequalities. Elimination of perceived salary inequalities. Oftentimes, Lana, workers have a feeling that maybe they are not being paid commensurate to their efforts. So when you have a guideline, then this guideline will eliminate this perception, and workers can be able to see what is their grade, where are they in the structure, how do they progress. So this becomes a guideline that can help in the elimination of the perception of salary inequalities among staff. Then secondly, it helps in the attraction, of talented workers. So when an organization has a structured salary arrangement or a policy, then prospective employees are able to look at this kind of a guideline, and if they have the wish to join that organization, this can be one of the reasons why those kind of employees can be attracted to that given work environment, so that they can be part of that kind of a workforce. Then number three, assists in the retention of employees in an organization. So employees who have their salaries determined, their salaries reviewed on the basis of a given policy or a given guideline, where individuals don't have to use their own maybe discretion, then such employees can be retained in a given organization to be able to perform their duties and be rewarded or compensated. Then there is the element of engagement levels are higher among staff, amongst employees. So employees in an organization that has a salary administration policy, which guides in terms of, say, promotion, maybe lateral transfer, benefits and so on, those kind of employees will be engaged more in terms of their work, because they know other issues like, for example, reward management are assorted by this particular salary administration policy. So the engagement levels of staff are likely to be high. Then there is also the element of compliance with the legal obligations, compliance with the legal obligations. For example, if an organization is supposed to comply with the minimum wage, minimum salary levels. So this kind of an organization will ensure that their policy is very clear. Whenever there is even an adjustment in terms of the legal thresholds, the policy of implementation of salary has to pay above, at the minimum or above the minimum salary level. So that gives the employees who are making decisions the implementation authority to ensure that compliance with legal obligations as far as salary is concerned is enshrined in terms of that particular policy. And when it also comes to, for example, statutory returns, they are made in accordance with the salary administration policy within that particular work environment. So that compliance, again, is one of the reasons why having a salary administration policy is important. Then there is the element of financial management assists in financial management, especially with labor-related costs. So salary administration policy will assist in the financial management, and in many organizations, the costs of payroll could take as much as, say, 45% of the organizational expenses. So you can see this can be quite high, and when you have a proper salary administration policy, it becomes very clear. Then number 7 helps the organization better negotiate with trade unions. So where an organization has a proper system in relation to administration of salary, then they are able to at least discuss with the union officials, discuss with trade unions, and be able to come to an understanding in relation to how reviews are supposed to be done. If there are any disputes and so on, they are able to negotiate based on the policy within a given organization. So those are some of the reasons why it is important for an organization to have a proper salary and administration policy in a given organization. Then we can have a look now at the components of a salary administration policy. Components of a salary administration policy. Components of a salary administration policy. So what are some of the aspects you expect to get, some of the contents you expect to see on a salary administration policy? So when it comes to a salary administration policy, some of the things that may be handled here may include: 1, basic pay; 2, house allowance; 3, traveling allowance. Those workers could be assisted by the management to be able to pay for that particular tuition. And in some cases, there are also some generous employers who are basically able to assist the spouse and maybe the children of the employee. So those could be some of the things that are captured in terms of components of a salary administration policy. Then you have 7, promotion. Then you have 8, transfer. Then you have 9, pension. Then you have 10, deductions. So these deductions could, for example, be for trade union or cooperative or other checkoffs and so on. So these could be some of the things you expect to get on maybe a payroll in terms of the components. So basic pay, house allowance, traveling allowance, overtime pay, leave allowance, tuition assistance, on a salary administration policy. Now, for organizations that have a salary administration policy, they may have a document, and this document is what is referred to here, salary administration policy. So we want now to have a look at a structure of a salary administration policy. Structure of a salary administration. Structure of a salary administration policy. So the question is there one specific kind of a structure? The answer is no. Organizations may have different policies structured in certain ways, but some of the information that may be cross-cutting is what we want to have a look at, so that if you have a structure of a salary administration policy, or if you go to an organization, dear learner, or you work for an organization and you have now been told, prepare a salary administration policy. So what are some of the things that may be on that particular policy that you may want to include. So one, the name of the organization. So one, name of the organization. So that becomes at the top, or maybe this one can be a logo. So you may have a logo. So you have a logo showing that this is organization XYZ, this is the address and so on. So that will be at the top. Then number two, you may have the title of the policy. So an organization may now structure it, may have the title as wage and salary administration policy. So depending on the title that is selected, the title will indicate there. Then number three, scope of the policy. Scope of the policy. So in some organizations, they may say the scope of this policy covers administrative and management positions, or this policy covers lower level and middle level positions, for example. So the scope of the policy has to be indicated. And then number four, administration of the policy. So it has to be indicated who is administering the policy, who is administering that particular policy. So maybe it may indicate that this policy will be administered by the Human Resource Department or Human Resource Section. So administration of the policy has to be indicated so that if there are questions, those questions are directed to that particular department or section. Then description of the jobs are covered. So in this description, it may indicate that the jobs which are covered here could be human resource jobs, marketing jobs, and so on. So the description could be included. Then number six, grades or scales for jobs. That should also be indicated. And then there are those particular specific items now that will be covered in relation to that particular policy. For example, 7, entry into maybe jobs or grades. So that should be indicated. For example, if an employee is being recruited for the first time, what is the policy in terms of where this particular employee is supposed to enter? Then number 8, progression. So the policy has to provide, remember we said it's supposed to be a guideline. So the policy has to provide a guideline. When an employee is promoted from a position to the other one, what happens in terms of the progression? How do they enter into maybe the next scale? So that must also be provided as a guideline. Then number 9, transfer. So if an employee is being transferred, what should be the policy? You are being transferred from Nairobi, for example, to Mombasa, from Mombasa to Kisumu, from Eldoret to Nakuru. So if that transfer is taking place, in relation to salary, what happens? In some organizations, including government, for example, what happens is this: if it is the employer who is transferring you in terms of public service, the employee is transferred, yes, but that employee is given 2 months equivalent of salary in the month of transfer if the transfer has been effected by the employer. So that has to be provided for in terms of the salary administration. So if, let's say, the administrator of this policy is HR,